to your mother. It's time for another episode of Birds with Friends. Just some high-flying ran fast vertical stems of professors from Penn watching eagles eating prey like Pazookies on birthdays. It's Philadelphia. Marissa, Bo, and Zach kicking it. Cooler than 3 penguins till Zach runs off with his valet keys. He's a real nuanced goose. Pull up a branch, get loose. It's time for some juice on some Birds with Friends. The early bird gets the worm but prefers getting turned like a turn on some Birds with Friends. Marissa, Bo, and Zach are here to squawk. Don't miss the mistress talk on some.
I don't call it the off-season. I call it the non-playing season.
Is that what you say when people, normies ask you about what you do in the off-season? You say it's not the off-season, it's the non-playing season?
I don't correct them, but I'll call it the non-playing season.
Okay.
I'll feel like there's the playing season.
The NPO.
Yeah.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Birds with Friends on a Tuesday afternoon in the heat of the non-playing season. Bo Wulf, Zach Berman, Marissa Dunn here to talk about the latest that's going on with the Eagles, some forward thinking as free agency starts in a week. We'll have Quackatology later in the week, but today we'll be answering your questions in the quail bag as you get a bird in edgewise. Zach, how are you?
Doing great. Excited for this podcast. Excited for the week ahead. This is a big period of activity, and looking forward to all the coverage.
Marissa, how are you?
I'm doing great as well. I'm very happy to be home. Although it was a great week in Indianapolis. I was there for eight days. So yeah, it was a very long time. So very happy to be back in Jersey and excited for like the NFL calendar. It's crazy. All of this news and free agency about to kick off. So lots to look forward to.
How is back Michael in Chicago, by the way, right? You're back this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to Chicago this weekend. We're going to visit some college friends and hopefully see Maryland in the Big Ten tournament. They unfortunately lost their double bye with a bad loss to Penn State over the weekend. So yeah, hopefully we'll get there in time to catch a game. They need to stay in the tournament. So yeah, fingers crossed on that one. But
Zach, how's your basketball season going?
It's actually been quite some time. Because I was at the Combine. There was no game President's Day. I was at the Super Bowl 2 Mondays, and I had a previous engagement last night that I tended to. So I have not played in a few weeks, but eager to get back on the court next Monday, and excited for that.
Mistress talk 2 minutes into the show.
Definitely was not mistress talk. No.
Okay.
It stimulates the mind, though. So,
you care to expand?
I went to hear a speaker, and anytime you can get knowledge, you should take it. So I enjoyed it.
What knowledge did you get from this speaker?
Oh, so we have a meeting at 3:30 today. I don't have enough time to tell you all that. This was great. The speaker was Thomas Friedman from the New York Times, and yeah, I learned.
We should have him on the show. He's a.
I think it's hard to book.
He's
honestly,
a coworker, right?
In theory,
yeah.
but yeah, no.
You talk about how right he was about rooting for Putin.
Happy I went. I didn't hear you. I said Siri and it came up.
Okay. Did his take on the Iraq War? Did that come up?
There was Middle East politics that came up. Sure. There was a lot. I actually think you would have really enjoyed it, to be quite honest with you. Yeah.
That might be true. I think I would have enjoyed it in a different way than you did.
No, I do think you would have enjoyed it. I think there was a lot there that would open your mind, or that would fortify some of the things you think, and maybe change your opinion on some other things. So
yeah, I'm sure that's money that's well spent. I'm sure his speaking fee is. I hope that's what happens for all of us. New York Times, big J journos.
Oh, I did see, if I'm allowed to share this today, we had a full company memo, and Bo was highlighted in the memo. Did you see that, Marissa?
I did not.
Highlighted in the memo. This is not.
You had a picture of you in the memo, and they interviewed
because I was asked to fill out a couple of questions, which I used to gas you up.
They interviewed you about your
Bo Wulf did a great job. It was like, Bo Wulf, answer these 3 survey questions.
Yeah, Marissa, did you see this?
Where was this?
Yeah, we got a company memo today.
On email or Slack?
Yes, in email. and it highlighted the combine experience, and they wanted to hear the perspective of like the stars of the company. And so they spoke to Bo.
You gotta stop.
Oh, I do see it. I do
Yes.
see it.
I'm not exaggerating this. Am I right?
You
Marissa?
are exaggerating this. It's not like highlighting performances, or this is just, we asked some people to fill out some questions.
They didn't ask Marissa or me.
He did name drop you though, Zach. So
Yeah,
I think he gets some credit for that.
I appreciated that. Yeah, for sure. But no, I'm saying that this is, we talk about stars of the company, Thomas Friedman and Bo Wulf, right?
Yeah, well, I think we disagree about how flat the world is.
It's a free agency.
That's not literal, by the way.
Rooting for Putin, baby.
I was like, okay. let's.
I mean, we're talking about like an Andrew Brandt level hit rate on things he's supposed to be an expert at, but you know, that's another conversation. Marissa, given like the amount of screen time that Michael has gotten over the past week or so, like, what are we dealing with ego wise? How big is his head these days?
I think his head's still the same size. His social battery might be very low.
Social battery.
That's what he said on our flight home. Like, oh, this was a great week, but my social battery is super low. He's like, I could probably go like 2 days without talking to anybody. No, he really enjoyed the whole combine experience and being the player mentor. I went to the drills on Sunday. I sent you guys a picture. They interviewed him on the video board. You couldn't hear the audio because they have no sound on in the stadium, because obviously the guys are, performing and they don't want to be a distraction. So I was hoping he said something good. He looked like he was saying some good things. So let's fingers crossed after, his 2 Birds with Friends appearances. I hope that helped prepare him.
Yeah, we buttered him up. Yeah.
Yeah. But he had a great time too. It was fun us both being out there working. We're both very tired. But yeah, it was a great experience all around.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
He was working with Stout.
He did see Stoutland. Yeah, he was like, and I knew it was Stoutland like instantly because I could hear him. Like I said, it was pretty quiet in the stadium. And I was like on my phone doing different things, like watching the drills. And I was like, that's got to be Stoutland somewhere. And I like scanned my eyes, and there he was doing the one set of drills with the offensive linemen. But Michael said he was very active, talking to lots of different guys, and you could tell he's, very respected amongst everybody on the field. And obviously that's nothing new to Eagles fans. They know all this to begin with. But he said, yeah, it was cool seeing him out there.
Reggie Jackson once said about Tom Seaver, blind men come to the ballpark to listen to him pitch. And you can say the same about like Jeff Stoutland. You can, if you attend a football practice where he's coaching, you can just listen to him. So it's pretty neat. I'm glad Michael was there, and I can, if I can shout out Michael here. I did see him out the other night, and that guy knows how to. He's the social battery. It's a big social battery because he can work a room.
Sando level battery.
What's that?
I don't know if anyone's Sando level. Sando's like,
Well, I meant his actual computer battery.
Yeah, but Michael's very personable, and pleasure to speak with.
Yeah, well, like we said, he got his midnight fix of a ice cream sundae that gave him some extra.
I was jealous of that. You see, when this is the thing, it's the expression that I've used when you win 20 in the show. The foot fungus is colorful, otherwise it's just sloppy, right? When you're like an NFL offensive lineman, you can order dessert at the bar at midnight, or you can eat dessert.
Yeah.
If I was sitting there eating a brownie sundae at Prime at midnight,
I would love to see that. I wish you would do that.
Like, this reporter is like a slovenly mess, right? So I
think that'd be a good move, a conversation starter. You get people to come over to you.
Yeah.
It's like you're peacocking to some degree.
Well, so Michael's agent is the one that ordered a bunch of the desserts, and like people were all into, the drinks, the wine and stuff. But Michael's face lit up once that brownie sundae came to the table. He was like, this is what I'm going for. So
you and I are kindred spirits.
Yeah.
Wait till he gets that Pazuki.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could.
Now you're talking. All right, Zach, we've got some Eagles questions to get to. We've put out the call, the squall, if you will. and we'll get to those. But I want to start, Zach, with a question that I was thinking about last night. Now I have the Eagles free agency shopping guide up on the Athletic now, which people can read. But I've just been thinking about like what an interesting state the Eagles are in roster construction wise, as they have to turn the page from like last year's roster that was so loaded to trying to find a way forward, expecting that the defense is going to bounce back to some degree. They can't re-sign all these guys. They can probably afford to make a few big signings, but in the interest of like keeping the offense strong, right? If the defense can't be as good, you sort of need the offense to pick up more of the pace. And so knowing that the Eagles have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert, and let's presume that Miles Sanders does not return. My question to you, if you could add one offensive weapon to the Eagles this offseason, running back, wide receiver 3, or tight end, with a significant amount, like whether that's a real free agency deal or something like a second round pick, what position do you think the Eagles would be best suited to use?
Well, given the personnel, I would say running back, just because they can. I think that is a spot where they can upgrade, or there is playing time available. There's certainly usage there, and you can get a dynamic player there. I think that would be beneficial. But for full disclosure, I have a piece coming out tomorrow, which is like a 12-step guide to the offseason. And one of the items there is to upgrade the number 3 receiver / number 2 tight end. So like the 4th pass catcher in the offense, and assuming they don't have 2 backs on the field. So I think that's something that they can do. But given the options that you presented, I think that most practical would be running back. And there are, dynamic running backs available, both free agency, draft, potentially trade if they wanted to go that route. So I think that's a spot to look.
I think you can make a case for and against each position.
Sure, absolutely.
I think at running back, as you say, like the opportunity is there. Miles Sanders is going to go, and so you have an opportunity for somebody who's going to touch the ball more than the other positions would be touching the ball. But the offense is also, as we've talked about ad nauseum, the most running back friendly offense in the league. Kenny Gainwell and a 4th round pick, and some street free agent like Dearness Johnson or something like that, you're probably going to be just fine on offense. You're probably still going to have a top 5 rushing attack because you have Jalen Hurts and because you have the offensive line. Wide receiver is a more important position. I think you could make a case that adding a real player to replace or overtake Quez Watkins would make more of a material difference on a game by game basis. But there are also some personality concerns you have to think about, just in terms of managing the dynamics of 2 guys at wide receiver who want the ball plus Dallas Goedert. And then all of a sudden they're all on sort of a similar young timeline. That could be difficult to juggle. And then at tight end, it's not an important position. And that's not as an important position, but the Eagles have no great, plan B if Dallas Goedert goes down. They've been exceedingly healthy. He is 28 years old. He's not as young as A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. It's about the time when they drafted Dallas Goedert to begin with, after Brent Selleck retired. They're already, though, the best offense in the league in 12 personnel with just having Jack Stoll and Grant Calcaterra. So it's not like that's going to make a huge difference or would make a huge difference immediately. I sort of think my instinct is to say receiver, but I wouldn't use a 1st round pick. However, I think the real complicating factor here, and the thing that I think the Eagles are going to be keeping in mind, is you're signing Jalen Hurts to a long-term extension this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be now more conscious about sort of protecting him long-term. And I don't mean protecting him, but what are the ways that you can take a little bit off his plate? In the short yardage running game, do you really need him to be running 15 times a game? And I know that some of those are quarterback sneaks, and that's fine. But in terms of this is a guy who has been injured each of the last 2 seasons down the stretch. How can you maybe take a little bit off of his plate I think maybe running back is the answer. But it's still all a value proposition. I don't have a great answer. I've been thinking about it, and I'm sure that this is a question that they're batting around in their front office.
So some numbers here. Okay. If you look at the number 3 wide receiver / number 2 tight end, the Eagles targeted Quez Watkins, Zach Pascal, Jack Stoll, and Grant Calcaterra 86 times last season. Okay. That foursome had 64 catches for 708 yards and 4 touchdowns. And so if you're looking at like yards per target, you're at about like 8 or so, 8 and change. The production was fine, but it can be better. And Sirianni defended that group last week with he defended the number 3 receivers. Once framed him that way, with the premise being that they're not getting the volume. Like, of course, Quez Watkins' production is down, but that's not up for debate here. The debate is, can you get more production when the ball does come his way, right? And the stress you can put on a defense. Quez didn't do that. So I do agree with you there. I think that when you look at the way the Eagles use their running backs in the postseason, for instance, I mean, Miles Sanders took fewer snaps in the Super Bowl than Kenny Gainwell did. I think that
over the course of the entire playoffs, it wasn't even close.
Yeah. So I think the Eagles can upgrade at running back. They can find a good option in terms of the price and just in terms of the depth of this group. Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network has 13 running backs with grades in the first 3 rounds. So what he would consider starting caliber running backs, 13. That is high. Dane Brugler has 10 in his top 100. Okay, this was the top 100 that came out on Valentine's Day. So I don't know what it would be like post-combine, but there are running backs we can talk about in the 3rd round, for instance, that are intriguing players. And then the conversation that is going to be carried off, or I should say carried out for these next few weeks, because Dane Brugler, a respected draft analyst who is plugged in, not just in terms of the prospects, but in terms of the league. In his mock draft that came out today, he has the Eagles trading back from 10 to 14?
14.
14, yeah.
Yeah. And taking Bijan Robinson. So this is I'm still skeptical that the Eagles would do it in the top half of the draft. I don't see that occurring. Certainly not at 10. I don't see it happening in the teens. I think it could be a conversation to be had at 30 with, Gibbs perhaps, but I
don't think it's off the table at 30.
Yeah, it would surprise me if it was 14.
It's and that's no disrespect to Dane. He's got to get guys in the right spot.
Yes.
Just as much as he has to fit players to teams.
But I do think there, as we get closer to the draft, we can have a pod devoted to some of these 2nd or 3rd round backs. Like I see in the chat here, Ezio saying Tajay Spears. Tajay Spears is awesome to watch. Corey Katz says the Texas A&M back, Devin H.N., he's really fast. He's on the smaller side. There are Zach Evans from Ole Miss. There's some stuff you need to figure out non-playing in terms of health and whatnot, but he looks like a starting running back when you watch him play. The running back from Pitt in production alone, you can't ignore him. There's some really good players. The Minnesota running back, I see Danger saying it. Bo's not going to be on board. I think he's like 24 years old. But
it doesn't matter as much for running backs,
okay.
I think, because you're only getting one contract from those guys anyway. But yeah, I mean, you got to factor it into the production.
Yeah. So there's there are a lot of intriguing backs that we can discuss as we get closer here.
Okay. You don't think that was as interesting as I thought it was?
I thought we spent 10 minutes on it.
Okay.
What made you think I didn't find it interesting?
I don't know, your general aura.
Wow. I thought he was interested. The chat thought it was a good question.
I guess I'm like from a what's going to keep opposing defensive coordinators up later at night, because those guys are grinded. I don't know. Maybe it is the wide receiver, because how do you cover all those guys? if you can still run effectively with, a 4th round running back or whatever. But I do think that there's like there is an upside to having a really, premium running back. I think that person has to be a real factor in the running game.
Yeah.
No,
in the passing game, rather. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say there was a comment in the chat. The offensive player that they're hoping the Eagles pursue the most is a quality backup quarterback, which I thought was interesting.
Well, that's the other thing that I think is really interesting. And I did write about that as well today. But how do you feel about backup quarterbacks, Zach? Do you think they're going to find do you think they're going to pay for a good veteran backup, or do you think they're going to have to settle for a lower level, like $2 million kind of guy?
Yeah, I think maybe somewhere in between. I don't think they're going to pay what they paid for Nick Foles in 2017. But I don't think they're going to go into it with a player on a minimum deal. I think it's probably somewhere in the middle. I liked your column today because there are intriguing options there. And I don't know what the market's going to be. Do you find a player who is resigned, for lack of a better term, to being a backup? If there are guys who are looking to be bridge quarterbacks or compete for jobs, Philadelphia is obviously not the place to come. But if you're looking for a place that could be a good opportunity to be a backup quarterback, you'll get paid decently. You're in a system where the quarterback has been banged up before, right? And it's conducive for success. I think this would be an appealing opportunity. So I don't know, the cover art for your story today was Marcus Mariota. Marcus Mariota would make a lot of sense. And I think after Atlanta last year, his starting days are presumably behind him. That would be the guy who I would target.
You get to keep the running back or the quarterback run part of the offense if Jalen Hurts goes down. He has experience with Alex Tanney and Kevin Patullo and Jason Michaels. So there's some inside knowledge there from his time with Tennessee. I think, that's the kind of swing the Eagles could take. It's also there's going to be some part of Howie Roseman's brain where he thinks to himself, if I can get Marcus Mariota, boy, is that going to make Chip Kelly angry for like 35 minutes. And he's going to really love that. So that's a factor. I think that I do think that Gardner Minshew could absolutely return. We talked about it in the last episode. I think that's possible. But there are lots of options. So what I'm really rooting for is let's bring Matt Ryan home so I can finally write the oral history of his at bat against Zach Berman.
I don't know if there was ever an at bat. I don't know if there was ever an at bat. I mean, there were 3 games against him, but I don't, when I was looking at the box score, I can't imagine I'd be in a game that tight, or not box score, not the box score rather. When I was looking at the write up from the game that day, Matt Ryan was pitching late in a close game, but I vividly remember batting against his team. So I am curious, but I don't want to say that I
needless to say, though, that's what we're rooting for.
I always enjoy a good homecoming story.
We know you do.
My teammates could give you some good anecdotes from back in the day.
I would like that. That's what I want to write.
We won an awful lot, so there's a lot of winning.
All right, let's take a break. Our first of 2, and then we'll come back with your questions on the other side here on Birds with Friends.
We all want to look good and be comfortable, but finding that combination can be a challenge. The clothes are too tight. They're not your size. They don't look right. Well, let me tell you about Roan because I recently put in a new order. Men's closets were due for a radical reinvention, as my wife will quickly tell me, and Roan stepped up to the challenge. Roan's commuter collection is the most comfortable, breathable, and flexible set of products known to man. And here's why. Roan helps you get ready for any occasion with the commuter collection, which offers the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, and polos. You never have to worry about what to wear when you have the Roan commuter collection. Roan's comfortable 4-way stretch fabric provides breathability and flexibility that leaves you free to enjoy what life throws your way, from your commute to work to your 18 holes of golf. It's time to feel confident without the hassle. With Rhone's wrinkle release technology, wrinkles disappear as you stretch and wear the product. It's that easy. With Gold Fusion anti-odor technology, you'll smell fresh and clean all day long. And on top of that, Rhone is 100% machine washable, so you can ditch the dry cleaner altogether. I personally like the versatility. It works for a work event, a date night, or just hanging around at home. The Commuter Collection can get you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Head to Rhone.com/BWF and use promo code BWF to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/BWF and use code BWF. It's time to find your corner office comfort. This show is brought to you by BetterHelp. I'm always trying to learn and grow, whether as a writer, a reporter, a podcaster, a father, a husband, a friend, you name it. Getting to know yourself can be a lifelong process, especially because we're always growing and changing. You want to always strive to be a better version of yourself. Well, therapy is another way of deepening your self-awareness and understanding, because sometimes we don't know what we want or why we react the way we do until we talk through things. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who can take you on that journey of self-discovery from wherever you are. Therapy is helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, and it's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Discover your potential with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/BWF today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/BWF.
Bo, Zach, and Marissa back on Birds with Friends. Time to give you a chance to get a bird in edgewise as we dip into the quail bag. We'll start, Zach, with a question from Little Jakesy. How is ZB's fantasy basketball season going?
Tough. Yeah, tough year.
Are we talking about like a clear house situation? Like, are you the Dougie P here?
I would compare it to the 2010 Eagles or 2011 Eagles.
Dream team?
Yes, I had a really good roster going into the year.
So you thought.
There were injuries. We have a league where there's no IR, right? And so I carried some players for a little too long. During the playoff stretch, I had a few days. I'm sorry, not the Eagles playoff stretch, rather. I had a few days there where I didn't set my lineup.
Oh, no.
And had some untimely losses.
Oof.
Dropped from second place to seventh place over the course of the playoff run.
Yikes.
Needed to get to sixth place to get into the playoffs. Thought I could make a late run and did not. Had a tough loss last week. Finally, I sold. Ironically, I sold John Moran.
Probably a good decision.
This was pre what happened with John Moran. To clear some caps or to open.
What'd you get back?
I got cap space for next year. You can buy money basically. You can sell a player for cap space, and I've got cap space, so it allows me to protect Luka and Sabonis next year, which is a good. I don't know. I'm going too deep into this.
I feel like this is more like 2015 Eagles, where things started well and then they collapsed down the stretch. And that could be it too. That
could be it too. But yeah, and bad coaching in the month of January.
Are you hearing an echo?
No,
is that just me.
Are you, Zach?
Okay. No, I'm not hearing an echo. Bad coaching in the month of January by me. Bad managing, and but Gonzo's team's loaded, and I think Gonzo's going to win. So
All right, next question, Zach, from Nick, not Nick Berman. What is your craziest news/story you have covered on the beat? For example, the weird report Dan Orlovsky got offered a job with the Eagles but turned it down. I don't remember that, but
I do remember that.
flex.
So, all right. So when this came over our Twitter, I didn't read the on the beat part. I was just thinking in my career.
Well, that counts. We were on
Okay.
different beats, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, the craziest story I've covered in my career, and it was a sad one, was in 2010 at the University of Virginia. There was a murder of a men's lacrosse player, murdered a women's lacrosse player, and I was covering that. And yeah, that was the saddest, craziest story I have covered in my time as a reporter.
As the podcast grinds to a halt.
I'm answering the question, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I was going to say Riley Cooper, so
okay, yeah, that was
I mean,
bad.
it's not. These are not feel-good stories.
No.
What's yours, Bo?
Riley Cooper, probably.
Oh.
Although I actually think like the initial signing of Michael Vick is a very like that was the entire sports world grinding to a halt to watch that. So
and then I would imagine for you to, in the spirit of the question, which they gave the Orlovsky example, I imagine the Juan Castillo hire was probably up there for you.
The Juan Castillo hire, yes, I remember both twice being pulled into an office to be told of news that was going to break and thinking that the person was either messing with me or lying. The Juan Castillo one, I mean, what is going on? And even the person who delivered that message was like, yeah, this is not going to go over well. And then the other one was the Foles Bradford trade. When we were told that, I remember like very rudely mansplaining to my boss that she must have gotten the terms mixed up. Like the Eagles must be the team getting the second round pick, not giving the second round pick. This doesn't make any sense. She was right. There you go.
Yeah, I would say on the Eagles, certainly Chipping fired. And it was the day after the day of when he said that he's not the GM. And he was like defiant about it in a press conference. The Foles trade was up there. DeMarco Murray signing was certainly up there. The downfall of Carson was up there. Howie moving over there. But I here, this is actually what I will say here in terms of the craziest, like non-tragic one. The White House disinvitation was a trip to cover. Like a trip in the sense that like it was such an odd event and there were so many people who were not interested in your daily Eagles coverage who are now all of a sudden interested in the team, whether the invitation was rescinded or they just didn't go. That was a crazy few days to cover, and I had to go down and cover the ceremony at the White House, if you will, without the Eagles there. That and it was kind of like, you
got to meet one of your heroes.
I wish people could see, the audio listeners could see the look Zach just gave Bo.
Yeah, so that was an odd one to cover. And then when LaShawn was traded, Chip Kelly was actually speaking that night at the Cherry Hill JCC, and I had to cover that just to hear Chip speak.
I believe I was at Devil's Den.
Oh yeah, okay, nice, a nice March night.
Yeah, Kiko. That one that was one where like it sort of made sense at the time. And then they went and spent the money on DeMarco Murray, and you're like, okay, this guy's got no idea what's going on. All right, question for the group from Ari Fishbane. Pecknest migrate, the ability to build a computer, owning a large shoe collection, and someone buying you Bojangles after every game you cover.
Okay, so I would migrate the Bojangles. That's an
Me
unhealthy
too.
existence there. I
Plus,
would.
you could just, I mean, you're like, in terms of like the Munger value that you're getting off of that, like you could just buy a Bojangles for yourself if you want it.
I would peck the shoe collection. That's nice to have.
I don't know how you peck a shoe collection, having a large shoe collection though.
I don't need a great shoe
Because I feel like it's cool to have for maybe like a little bit, but like no one wants to store like hundreds of shoes for the
But
rest
what
of their
like
life.
what does that tangibly mean? If you're pecking having a large shoe collection, what does that mean? You get it for 1 week, or you have
Yeah.
like one really nice pair of shoes? What is peck in this context?
I'd say you had it for a little bit of time, maybe
Yeah.
like a
You
year.
get a year. You get a year
Yeah.
with a really nice shoe collection, and then
Yes.
then they just disappear and they vanish into thin air.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I would definitely migrate the building of computers, because I imagine there's residual benefits to that. If you have the mental wherewithal to build a computer, then I would hope that you can translate that in other avenues in your life as well.
Yeah, like there's a part of me that wants to nest the shoes, because there's some monetary value there you could get. You could sell those bad boys. I don't know that I'm like I'm the kind of person who would probably be paralyzed by choice of like what to wear.
Are you a big, like in your closet each month, are you going through what do I wear, X, Y, Z?
Not like that. It's just
Okay.
like, oh man, what am I gonna wear today? Oh god, what am I gonna put on this? How am I gonna put some lipstick on this pig? But I think the
Your
pecking
photos all over the company website. Come on.
the pecking of the computer makes sense, because like I don't know that I'm gonna build multiple computers. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Except Bill Gates, right? That's Steve Jobs. They built computers.
Josh Sweat.
Josh
I
Sweat.
think
I understand. I understood the reference. Yeah, but when you said no one's got time to build computers, I mean that's literally
those guys
how...
didn't do that when they had families.
Okay.
So anyway, I guess I'll nest the shoes. How about you, Marissa?
I would do it how Zach did.
Okay.
I would peck the shoes, nest the computer.
All right, from Rohan. Divide your turkeys for responsibility for the defensive failure in the Super Bowl between Jonathan Gannon / the scheme, the execution from the players on the field, that's 2, the turf issues, and the Chiefs' performance / scheme.
Okay.
I think I'm going to go...
It's a good question.
5 turkeys on the player's execution. Because when you rewatch the game, there really is not a ton of like guys missing plays. I mean, it should be more than that. It should be 15 on the players. I'm gonna put 15, and I'm gonna put 10 on the turf, because both, I think there's a question about whether they were prepared for that or not, but it shouldn't have mattered quite as much as it did. I'm gonna put, so what's that? 15, 10. I'm gonna put let's say 35 on Gannon and 40 on the Chiefs.
Okay, so we actually have so I have 40 on the Chiefs as well. I think that was the biggest factor. I have 10 on the turf too. I do think that was a factor more so on the Eagles than for the Chiefs, but both teams were playing on that turf. And then I split these 25 and 25. Gannon he had a bad coaching day that day, and he cannot be absolved. But I'm the one who always says on here, it's a player's game, right? Good and bad. When a player performs well, the player's performing well, not the coach. And when the player struggles, the player's struggling. Like it's a player's game ultimately. The coaches are responsible for the scheme and the preparation, but the players need to play. And so where I would disagree with you is like, yeah, the players weren't out of position, let's say, but players need to make plays, right? Players need to make plays.
Yeah, but it's not just you can't just say players need to make plays and like just go out and make plays. Like they have to be put in position to make plays, right? Like I think we could say that the defensive line, whether it's the turf or not, we would have expected them to perform better. That's not on Gannon, right? But the back seven, I mean, they were either put in terrible positions or they were put in no positions at all. They were completely pantsed by the offensive scheming. So I would I would not make it 50-50.
Okay. I mean, I think every time a pass is thrown, the ball's in the air to try to get deflection, try to get, I mean, there's a number of things that could occur there.
Right, but it's not just
again,
it's not just easy as that. Like, go out and make a play. Like,
well,
if
literally,
if they're
players are on
designing
the
a
field
play that
making
puts
plays.
you in a spot where you literally can't make a play, like there is no good option for you to make, or you're TJ Edwards one-on-one with Travis Kelce in the open field, and that's the assignment that's being given to you. It's not really TJ Edwards' fault if Travis Kelce whips him.
Well, I'm literally saying he's on the field covering it. You're responsible for making a play. That's why I'm saying it's half. The assignment. I'm not saying it's all on the players because the assignment, that the coaching was bad that day. The scheme was bad. But I think in wins and losses, I point to the players first because the players are out there. If you're touching the ball or you're defending the ball, you're on the field. You need to make plays. I actually think players oftentimes agree with me on that, right? That it's a player's game. Yeah, I think coaches get too much credit and too much blame. I think that the players are on the field.
I generally agree with that, but I think it's not a blanket truth. I think in this game in particular, if we're talking about like them performing under their baseline level of performance, I think it's okay to say that one person was more at fault.
Mm-hmm.
But okay. From Simon Zach.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay? Are you mad at me?
No. No, I'm doing the show here.
I'm sorry I made fun of Thomas Friedman. You poked that bear. You're the one who sent me the ticket picture yesterday.
I don't know where this is coming from. I'm trying to do a show. I'm doing this show. I'm staying on topic. I'm not. I'm doing the show here.
Okay.
Marissa, am I?
I think if you asked him that earlier in the show, the answer might be different. But I think he's moved on from that now.
Yeah.
Simon's question was actually, just are you mad at me? No, the question from Simon.
The answer is no, not at all. Emphatically, no.
Any NFC teams, Zach, as you survey the landscape of the conference, who you see as likely to join the Eagles, Cowboys, and Niners, he says, as formidable contenders. He throws Atlanta if they get Lamar Jackson as a possibility.
So here, let me just look at this here. Yeah, if you get Lamar Jackson, you're a contender overnight, in my opinion. So
let's run through it real quick. Arizona, drawing dead, no shot.
No.
Rams.
Yeah, there's always a shot with the Rams.
I think there's a shot, but I would not be surprised if the Rams won the division next season, even if they're getting rid of almost everybody. As long as they've still got Donald and Kupp and Stafford, I think there could be some positive regression coming there. Seattle,
not as high on Seattle. Not as I don't love that Geno contract.
Really?
I
think the Geno contract is fine. I mean, they're able to get out of it after 2 years. Yeah. They could still draft a quarterback early if they want to. It's not a crazy amount of money for the position. And what I like about that, I mean, they had one of the two best draft classes in the league last year. They've got a very good ascending group of young players. I think they could be interesting. But
so I would like it if they spent one of their 2 first rounders on a quarterback, and then Geno's your bridge. I'm okay with that. I suppose. I just don't know if you're going to go any farther with Geno than how far you've gone so far.
I think that's probably fair. Yeah. But it's not also prohibitive of them drafting a quarterback.
Sure, exactly. That's true as well. Yep.
How do you feel about the state of the Niners after they won the imaginary NFC title?
Niners are absolutely loaded. They're absolutely loaded. They got a full year with Christian McCaffrey. The quarterback situation, I imagine they're going to roll with Purdy. I was high on Lance going into last year. If Lance is available, I think a team should go after him. I think there could be a discounted rate there, but I don't know if he'll be available or not. But yeah, I'm very high on the 49ers. Are you not?
It will not surprise you at all that I am not that high on the Niners. I think there's some regression coming for them. They got a lot of turnover luck. They're getting a new defensive coordinator. Steve Wilkes is very good, but there's some regression coming there. I don't think that there's any guarantee that you get a healthy Christian McCaffrey for a second year. They don't have a healthy quarterback at the moment. I think they might be an 8-9 team next year. Just early thoughts.
It's gonna be, what's the game we play where we all pick teams?
That is the spread your wins and fly draft, of course, which I won this year. NFC South, I think we can gloss over the whole thing. Are you worried at all about the Saints with Derek Carr quarterback?
No.
Okay. But if one of the
but the Falcons, the Falcons got Lamar. Sure.
Minnesota. You worried at all about the Paper Tigers of Minnesota?
Not so much.
No.
I think they are what they are. I think they're going to be a competitive team. I don't know if they're a major contender.
Green Bay. We assume that Aaron Rodgers leaves.
Yeah. I think Green Bay's got talent. Jordan Love is entering. Jordan Love was drafted the same year as Hurts, right? So
Love Hurts.
There hasn't been. We haven't really seen it on the field, but I think they have talent on both sides of the ball. I'm assuming they're going to get a good draft pick compensation for Rodgers. I think that's a well-coached team. So I think the Packers can be decent.
I think the Lions are on my radar.
Okay,
I know that they're going to be a popular team to be predicted to go to the playoffs, but they were very good on offense last year, and it seems like they have some sustainable pieces there. You get a healthy Jameson Williams. The defense also has pieces, and they've got a lot of draft capital this year. I don't know that I believe that there's steady stewardship for a full season for them. But I think if someone is going to have a really good regular season and jump up to 12 wins, I could see Detroit doing that. And then the other two teams in the division, Giants and Commanders, I would say no. But
what do you think happens with the Giants before the deadline?
The deadline's where
you think they tag Daniel Jones?
Yes, I think they tag Daniel Jones.
So they don't come to an agreement. So what happens with Saquon?
It's the market and signs for Chicago.
Ooh.
Wow, Zach's got it all figured out.
Okay. What do you think, Bo?
Well, it's almost too late, right? What is the deadline? 4?
4.
Yeah.
So we got an hour and 4 minutes.
I know, but people listening to this will like to see in hindsight what you guys.
Just because it's so close, I guess I'll predict that they also tag Daniel Jones, but I think they should. I don't know. I think they should let Daniel Jones go and tag Saquon.
Okay.
Yeah, the running back tag value. I saw this with the Raiders.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a fine. I mean, if you pay 1 year $10 million,
right,
take it. If you're the Giants, who's signing Daniel Jones to more money than that? Right? Is Carolina or Tampa Bay or is someone giving him this $40 million contract? I don't know. That's one of those things.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with you. And he stinks. So, but. That's their choice. All right, let's take our second break. We'll come back and answer some more questions.
Now, our next partner is a pretty cool product. Let's talk about Athletic Greens. If you're looking to get better gut health, more energy, or a stronger immune system in a really easy, natural way, you must check out Athletic Greens. I'm sure you'll all agree that most of us are not huge fans of having to take a bunch of pills or vitamins in the morning. But with Athletic Greens, you can get rid of all those extra vitamin bottles and finally make some room in your cabinet. Athletic Greens is an all-in-one solution, and you'll really enjoy getting your daily vitamins. I heard about it from my sister's boyfriend this summer who kept raving about Athletic Greens, and I was wondering, what is this stuff? Well, with one delicious scoop of Athletic Greens, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging. All of these. And with Athletic Greens, it's lifestyle friendly. Whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free, it contains less than 1 gram of sugar. There's no GMOs, no nasty chemicals or artificial anything. And it supports better sleep quality and recovery, supports mental clarity and alertness. It's the one thing with the best things. Athletic Greens uses the best of the best products based on the latest science with constant product and third-party testing. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition, especially heading into flu and cold season. It's just 1 scoop in a cup of water every day. That's it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/birds. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/birds to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance.
Back on Birds with Friends, Bo, Zach, and Marissa. Zach, we have some sort of like nominal news that we have not talked about just yet on the coaching front. Should we send it to the Stone Cold Newsman? Would you like to hit it up?
Sure. Denard Wilson left the Philadelphia Eagles. Whether it was his decision or whether it was the Eagles' decision, that could be up for debate here. I was told it was a mutual parting. Basically, Denard Wilson did not get the defense coordinator job, which he was up for. Bo Wulf asked the astute question at the combine last week, is Denard Wilson going to be on your staff? And Nick Sirianni did not commit to it. So it was fairly ominous then. It seemed like the writing was on the wall. And as it turned out, Denard Wilson had a good place to go. Denard Wilson hired today by the Baltimore Ravens to be their defensive backs coach. Wilson, of course, is a Maryland native. He's more closer to the D.C. area, but gets to go back near his hometown into a really good secondary. And it leaves the Eagles now reconfiguring most of their defensive staff. They have a new coordinator, as we know, Sean Desai. They're going to have a new linebackers coach and a new defensive backs coach. So a lot of changes on the Eagles defense just on the sideline. There's going to be changes on the field too. But Denard Wilson, very well regarded by his players, and the production was there across the board. Darius Slay and James Bradbury under Wilson rebounded to Pro Bowl players from the way they were in the year before they worked with Wilson. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson moved from slot to safety, had a productive season for the Eagles. Marcus Epps became a starter under Wilson. Avonte Maddox had the most productive, or the top performing seasons of his career under Wilson. He managed some big personalities there and saw production from it. So big loss for the Eagles, but certainly understandable. This is not the first time that someone's been passed over for a job and went elsewhere. You saw it with Deuce Staley, for instance. He left to go to Detroit. Now he's in Carolina. But curious to see how the Eagles fill out their staff from there. Back to you in the studio, Bo.
And Zach, what do you make of this report that there is some interest in bringing in Matt Patricia as the linebackers coach?
Well, I'd be curious what Darius Slay would say about that.
I just can't see it happening because of that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I think that I can see the Eagles wanting to get experience on the defensive side of the ball. And Patricia is a former head coach, former coordinator, but from a personality perspective, unless he comes in and is like, I was wrong, I screwed up, I should have handled it.
I mean, the degree to which Slay hates Matt Patricia, it's hard to overstate. It's like you meet him for the first time, you're like, hi, my name is Bo Wulf. He says, hi, my name is Slay. I hope Matt Patricia gets run over by a bus. It's like one of the very first things he'll tell you.
And I've heard this argument. Well, he wouldn't be coaching Slay. You're in the building, right? Yeah. That doesn't add up. So there would be. And Slay, by the way, Slay's not like a down the depth chart player who you have to account for here. He's the captain of the team.
Right. Yeah. And nor is he like a guy who's going to be quiet.
Sure. Exactly.
The way he feels about things.
Yeah.
I find it. And he's also not going anywhere. Like the Eagles have to restructure his contract to create cap space. He's going to be here.
Yeah.
I find it impossible to believe that whatever delta there might be between Matt Patricia as a linebackers coach and the next best available linebackers coach would be worth the headache of dealing with that on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
I cannot fathom that. I also don't think that Matt Patricia, from what I know about him, is the kind of coach who's going to jibe with the way that Nick Sirianni wants to run, like wants his coaches to coach. I don't know.
I can't answer that well enough. I don't know. I know I should have a take here. I've actually heard that Patricia is a when he's not coaching is like an interesting guy, has a sense of humor, but
wow.
Yeah, he had a bad reputation in Detroit. I mean, Darius Slay's not the only one who has said something like that either.
Right.
So curious about that. I need to think that there's other veteran linebackers coaches who would not butt heads.
They might be better off with no coach at all.
Yeah, with one of your captains. So
the Ravens placed the non-exclusive franchise tag on Lamar Jackson.
Yes, ESPN's Kimberly Martin had that first.
So
that's at $32 million. The non-exclusive.
Okay.
And that means if a team signs him and they don't match, they get 2 first-round picks in return.
Yep. Okay. And if a team signs him, they can match it. So it's basically go get your deal, and So.
Okay. Next up, Zach, from Jim. If you wake up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, do you sit down or stand up to go?
So I saw this come across my timeline. I've never sat down for like a non-number 2.
Never?
Right? So, no, never.
Oh, you're not living.
Really? Is this a thing? Am I off here?
Zach, you should try it tonight.
It's so much easier. I mean, in the middle of the night, what are you spraying all over the place? It's nice to have a little rest sometimes.
I turn on the light. I mean,
you turn on the light?
Yes.
And then you get back to sleep? You're messing with your eyes.
Michael takes his phone and uses his flashlight on his phone.
Okay.
He should be sitting down, let me just say, with his in the middle of the night.
There's this thing that you get told as like a kid that it's like emasculating to sit down and pee.
Yes,
it's totally fine.
I didn't know this was a thing.
Let's be comfortable with ourselves here.
No, I can say I've never done that.
Never in your life have you sat down to pee?
Well, probably when I was getting potty trained, right when I was a kid. Okay. I imagine
we need the chat to weigh in here.
Yeah, no, not since then have I ever sat down with the intent purposes of peeing. No.
Wow. You're missing out. Yeah. No wonder you can't sleep.
People are dying that I just said that about Michael. I'm honest. I'm very truthful here on Birds with Friends.
As you should be. Good. All right. Next up, from Austin, Zach, do you think that the front office and coaching staff is confident in Jordan Davis being able to take a much bigger role next season? And do they think there is pass rush potential along with the run stopping?
Well, they're going to have to be. All right. They traded up and drafted this guy number 12, not to be a run stopper, but to be a complete defensive tackle. And yeah, I do think there's optimism there. This first year did not go the way it was planned from a production standpoint. Yeah, there was an injury there. They add Joseph, but I think the tools are there. I think the opportunity's there. I don't think that this is an organization that is not optimistic about Jordan Davis developing. Do you?
I don't know. And I don't know that they should be. I mean, he was incredibly unproductive as a pass rusher when he was asked to rush the passer last year. He had no quarterback hits in the regular season. He had one in the playoffs. There are some reasons to explain that, just like there were some reasons to explain why he had no pass rush production in college. He's rotating a lot. That's not what he's asked to do. He's got these athletic tools in his body. Well, he played for 4 years in college and was not a productive pass rusher. So I think if they're like full eyes open on this, they cannot rely on him to be a dominant pass rusher. And they're also going to need him to still fill the role that they drafted him to do, to play on first and second down. So, I'm going through the shopping guide for the defense, and I was looking at, the pass rushing snaps that the Eagles got from interior defensive linemen last year. Obviously, Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave are both free agents. 69%, nice, of the Eagles' interior defensive line pass rushing snaps last year are scheduled for free agency, need to be replaced. So even if you think Milton Williams is ready to step in and be a number one defensive tackle, I think that's fine. He can replace Fletcher Cox, and you think that Jordan Davis is going to take more of a role here. They still need somebody, and not just like a Hassan Ridgeway level player to sign. They need a guy at defensive tackle this offseason. And I don't know that you can rely on that definitely coming in the draft, which is why I think if the Eagles are going to sign a real like high level free agent from outside the team, I think defensive tackle is a real possibility. I think it could be corner and it could be safety, but I think a guy like whether it's Draymond Jones or Zach Allen, who's been very productive, I think those guys would make sense for the Eagles to import somebody who's in the prime of their career and can be leaned on to be a real factor in the defense.
I think they would sooner keep Javon Hargrave. I don't know what Hargrave's going to make. That's obviously the complicating factor, but I think that will be their top priority in free agency. We should say too, because
go find the next Javon Hargrave.
Okay.
He's 30, right? Javon Hargrave is awesome, but if you can sign a guy who's like a little bit worse, but you're going to have for longer and in the prime of their career, isn't that worth it?
Well, not necessarily, because if the premise of this conversation is that you don't know yet on Jordan Davis, then Javon Hargrave is the exact type of player that you want. Somebody who can fill that role, can rush the quarterback from the interior, can give you 2 good years on a contract, and then I would imagine after year 3 of Jordan Davis, that answer will come. So if there's a deal that can be structured where the guaranteed money comes in those first 2 years, and then you can get out of it after year 2, that's the type of contract that you go after with Javon Hargrave. Now, I think Hargrave is going to have a big market, but I think that's a position that the Eagles have shown time and time again that they're willing to pay. I hear your point about finding the next Javon Hargrave, but I would do that if I had more assurances among your interior. The Eagles need to go into the season with confidence that they have a pass rush from the interior. If Javon Hargrave is on the roster, I think you're confident that you have pass rush from the interior. You don't know that Draymond Jones has been fine, but
Zach Allen brings that, I think.
Okay.
He was more productive last year than Javon Hargrave from a quarterback hit standpoint.
Okay. Yeah. Not from a sack perspective, but sure. Okay.
I don't know. Maybe he has just as high of a market, but if you're paying about the same per year, I don't know. I don't think that they need to be attached to these guys. Javon Hargrave is awesome, but is that and this relates to another question that we have, and I don't have the name in front of me, but the lessons. Actually, hold on. What are the lessons that you think Howie Roseman needed to learn from the post 2017 roster construction that he needs to apply to this year's offseason? That is from Justin. And I think one of those things is you don't have to be attached to your guys.
Yes. I think the lesson, I suppose it's related to that, but that you're always building the roster. You're not trying to load up for a window. What you're doing is you're always building. You're treating every year as if you're just trying, the discipline that it took to build a winning roster is the discipline that it takes to maintain a winning roster from my perspective. Okay. And so that could be signing the 26-year-old as opposed to the 30-year-old. But if you have Jordan Davis and Milton Williams and you think this is going to be a good combination going forward, but you want assurances in this 2-year window that you can have pass rush production. I mean, Javon Hargrave is the best interior pass rusher. I don't have any qualms of signing the best interior pass rusher in free agency. If you just view it like that, I don't think that's being attached to your players. I think that's simply prioritizing a premium position.
So Javon Hargrave in over the last 2 years has hit the quarterback on 3.9% of his pass rush snaps, according to True Media. 3.9% in 2022 and 3.9% in 2021. Incredibly steady. Mm-hmm. Zach Allen, now that was in 859 snaps, so it's a huge sample. Zach Allen played 778 snaps, so pretty close, not quite as much. He has hit the quarterback 4.4% of the time, which is more than Hargrave and the highest of all the free agent defensive tackles in this class. 5.0% of the time in 2022, 3.8% of the time in 2021. So he took a bit of a step up this year, but was just at Hargrave's level the year before. He had probably, slightly fewer run responsibilities, maybe, but and this is all about what the contracts end up being, what's the valuation. You have to evaluate those possible deals separately, but he's just as productive and is 4 years younger. I don't know.
Good point. What kind of deal would you be getting, you think?
I don't know. I don't have those downloaded into my brain like Shil Kapadia does, that he can just point to the $14 million a year or whatever. But I would imagine that it's about the same per year value, and it's an extra year of guarantee, right? It's a 3-year guarantee instead of a 2-year guarantee, probably. And I don't know, call it 16 million a year.
And there is some scheme projection there.
Yeah.
Right?
No, that's.
But there was scheme projection with Javon 3 years ago.
Well, that's the thing, is that Javon Hargrave was not a decorated pass rusher when the Eagles signed him.
Yep, you're right.
They projected that. And so there are guys who could potentially be along that line, although there are not a ton of guys who are in the prime of their career like that. Draymond Jones is 26. You're talking about in terms of like the guys who who have played the most snaps. There's not a lot of guys in the middle of their career. Greg Gaines is 27, but he is just a run plugger. Jerry Tillery has been a disappointment. Poona Ford is a guy who Sean Desai will know from Seattle this year. His numbers have declined a little bit, but he's got some big man wiggle to him. But I don't know. It's interesting. I think that the Eagles are gonna make sure that they sign a real caliber defensive tackle. So
what would you think if they went into next year with, and by the way, I like Zach Allen. So I wouldn't be opposed to that. I actually like Zach Allen more than Draymond Jones a bit.
I agree.
But if they went in with Zach Allen, Jordan Davis, and Milton Williams, would you be okay with that?
Yeah, I think you'd feel okay about that.
Okay.
You probably have a fourth guy who's either a middle round pick or another veteran or a Marlon Tuipulotu, but I think you'd feel okay about that.
Oh, sorry, I lost the. Sorry, I lost the audio here, so just have to take off my AirPods. Can you hear me? Okay.
We can hear you.
Okay.
And you look great.
Because we're having this conversation, I do need to ask you. Because this came up in Mike Sando's mock draft today, so it's not.
It's a good question.
It's not like totally out of left field for us to have this conversation. If Jalen Carter falls down to number 10, And you can't. I get it. You can't wait to the draft to see what happens, right? Your interior defensive line. You want to have a sense of it before the draft. But if Jalen Carter falls to number 10, are you running in the card if you're Howie Roseman? Are you saying, well, 9 teams passed on him for a reason here? We're not going in that direction? Or are you saying this is the most talented player in the draft? We have a strong locker room, or what matters is how you play on Sundays? What are you doing if you're Howie?
Well, it's hard for me to answer what I would do because I have not done the investigating on, what happened. I don't have character sources on him.
But it's enough in this case. It's enough for 9 teams to pass on it.
But knowing Howie, I wouldn't be surprised if he traded up for him. And I don't, that's not to say that like the Eagles have courted guys with character concerns before, but like a potentially like franchise changing level talent falling like that, I think he would absolutely be interested. What do you think?
I agree. I agree. I think it's I think that they want to get guys who can win for them on Sundays. And that's not to say look, if there's something that's really prohibitive there, I don't want to belittle what occurred, right? What occurred was a very serious.
Yeah, and I don't know enough about it.
I mean, 2 misdemeanors, right? Charges. But I think Howie Roseman would I think in that case, that's a risk they would take, in my opinion.
I think so too. I think that I think trading up from 10 and then parachuting down from 30 is a real possibility. And I think they would use next year's 2 to move up.
Okay.
As opposed to this, because then you can count on the comp picks for next year, beefing that up. You don't take away from your little capital this year, and then you move down from 30. I think that's sort of like in Howie's dream what might happen.
Yeah.
And to get a player like Jalen Carter. All right, let's close with this one from Anthony. This is for everybody. Marissa, I'll start with you. Peckness migrate. Different types of French fries. Wedge fries, curly fries, waffle fries.
Wedge fries are like the ones that like the thick that look like.
I mean, those are getting migrated for sure.
Yeah, definitely migrate. I would nest curly fries and peck waffle fries.
I agree with you. Now, like a straight, thin, like matchstick French fry is to me the number one. But
yeah, probably me too, but I do like a curly fry.
I like a curly fry too.
Yeah, I would nest the waffle fry. I would peck.
We know that you're a big Chick-fil-A guy. Yeah.
But no, I mean my favorite French fry is not on the board here. I like the hand, the Five Guys hand cut fries. You know what I'm saying? Five Guys fries are the best.
What do Five Guys fries look like?
Five Guys fries are the absolute best. Chat, are you with me here?
I'm looking
Are
it up.
Playing to the audience.
Yeah, that's basically I think what Bo and I are saying.
Yeah. I was thinking like thin fries.
They're not crispy enough.
Okay.
Michael always asks for his fries to be extra crispy. When he orders.
Yeah, he's a pro. That's a man who knows his fries. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want my fries crispy.
Okay.
And truthfully, the thinner, the better. The more like the surface area to inside ratio, you want to be as small as, or I guess, as high as possible.
I see here the truth saying crab fries. Oh yeah, sign me up for Chickies and Pete's crab fries.
You're in the tank. We know that.
What's that?
You're in the tank for Chickies and Pete's.
I do love Chickies and Pete's. Yeah. Chickies and Pete's is an awesome place to eat.
I like Chickies and Pete's and I like the crab fries, but they're not my favorite type of fries.
Okay.
I like a Parmesan-y garlicky fry.
Okay.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Wedge fries, get out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, if I want mashed potatoes, I'll order mashed potatoes.
So you're going with curly over waffle. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I wouldn't want curly fries to be the only fries I have for the rest of my life.
Agreed.
But in terms of those three, I would rank curly fries number one.
Yeah. You guys are making me hungry. We should have had
Good
lunch
discussion.
on here.
I went out. I had just straight French fries when I met Bo and our editor Josiah out for dinner.
That's
Not,
right.
It was like it was 10 o'clock. I had eaten something at 4:30 before I flew out, and I wasn't looking for a real heavy meal. And we were at a bar, and so I was trying to, I wasn't going to order the salad there, and so I just went with just the French fries. I don't know how I felt about that decision, but they were
I
satiating.
thought it was kind of an alpha move.
That's an alpha move?
Yeah, why not? Like,
What's
sitting down
alpha
with, sitting
about
down with two
ordering
guys, and you're just, I'm gonna get myself some French fries.
I just gotten off a plane. I mean,
Yeah, I respected it.
I should have gone chicken tenders. In hindsight,
Chicken tenders and fries. You should have done both.
I thought that'd be a little too heavy. Yeah.
There's no like, you don't have to eat all of it.
Yeah.
You eat all the fries. Like,
I mean, in my household growing up, you finish what you started eating.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're ordering what you want, you don't have to overindulge.
It's hard when it's in front of you.
I appreciate the Five Guys. Yeah, Five Guys are my favorite fries. My son's birthday, I took him to the Nickelodeon universe up at the American Dream Mall in East Rutherford, and
classy area there.
And they have a Five Guys right next to us. The first time that he went to Five Guys, and so we're planning out his birthday, and we're already talking about going to Five Guys. So
for next birthday, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that'll do it for this episode of Birds with Friends. On Thursday at 1:00, we've got free agent quackatology. 64 pending free agents enter the arena. One will emerge as the most likely player to sign with the Eagles. Who will it be? Tune in to find out.
And make sure you check out Bo's pieces on the free agents ahead of time. It'll be a good primer, and it's good material there.
And Zach's as well. So, for Marissa and Zach and Thomas, I'm Bo. Thank you for listening. We will talk to you on Thursday. And, as always, we love you.
Birds with friends.